Marfoogle TV going live in 3, 2, 1. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. We've got a lot to go through. We, of course, have NATO, invoking Article 4, which is to set a meeting for Article 5, the response to Russia. And this is all tied in. Zelensky urges joint air defense with Europe after Russian drones were downed in Poland. Now, I want to read a very important part in this again here, because this is an extremely, extremely big claim. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said on Wednesday that at least 8 Russian drones were aimed towards Poland during Russian attacks overnight. Again, the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky on Wednesday pushed for a common air defense system with Kiev's European allies as he accused Russia of deliberately targeting. Just to reiterate this, he accused Russia of deliberately targeting neighboring Poland by flying drones through its airspace in an overnight attack. Now, one thing I want to point out is this is something we have covered probably 10 times, where Russia flies their drones or missiles or whatever it may be over this small corner in Russia with Poland. So if you actually look at where Poland is, you have Poland up here, or Poland right here, and you have, of course, the Kaliningrad, their enclave, and then you have Ukraine. There's a small place where this, again, could have happened, right? Where it could go through the airspace if it was fired from there. Now, I'm not too sure if this was fired from Kaliningrad. If it was in Poland, I know they talk about this small corner that is in there and that there's places where it goes into their airspace, but this is where they just took down one of Russia's drones, and now they're claiming, or at least Zelensky's claiming, that this was on purpose. This sounds like the perfect event to really kick off something even bigger, and exactly that is about to happen. We're going to talk about that here in just a few minutes. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. War within this year? Again, we're going to talk about it. All right, so first of all, let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So, obviously, Zelensky urging the joint air defense. You want to talk about Russia's unprecedented violation of Poland's airspace, branded as an act of war.
Yeah, I mean, these are big words they're throwing around. So this is now being branded as an act of war from Polish leaders. And they say they planned and they're planning an extraordinary meeting to respond, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But they scrambled to identify and address the first military incident between the countries since 2022, since the invasion, basically, because this is the first time a NATO country has shot down military drones from Russia. So Moscow has always pushed the boundaries of what's been possible, because like we've said before, this has happened time and time again. These drones cross over, especially in that western edge of the country. I think they fly down, probably coming from Russia's main mainland, if not launched from Belarus, across Belarus, at least those targeting the western area of Ukraine. And they would go down that, close to the border of Poland. And in some areas, depending on their targeting, might actually overlap into Poland just a little bit and then continue on their path into southern, south, western Ukraine. So, yeah, they're saying that they're calling this an active war. They're saying it's a very big deal. And that's exactly what we said was going to happen. There's got to be something that's going to push it over the top. And they've been itching for this because they need to have a reason to bring about a war with Russia and the rest of Europe.
Sean C. says, warmongers are chomping for a fight. Thank you, Dennis N., for being here. Saffron Bay, Joe, Bob, Wenatchee, all of you actually just received a gifted membership by Wally. Thank you for gifting out 5 badges. That is incredible. Thank you so much. Briar Patch, thank you for being here. Janet Criddle, of course, we have Alabama Whitman. Thank you guys, and thank you guys for being members. We really appreciate that. Just to reiterate, one of her representatives, Joe Wilson, said Russia was, quote, attacking NATO ally Poland with drones, again, calling it an active war. So it doesn't matter. I mean, there could be 10 congressmen screaming, this is an active war. That doesn't mean necessarily anything's going to happen, but it depends on which congressmen are doing it, because these congressmen, some of these have pull, they have these all interconnection. I mean, straight up like the House of Cards, super, super shady. And you never know what's being said on purpose, so that then they report it across the AP and across the world syndicated medias. So it puts it into the back of your head. But what's crazy is everybody is focused on, of course, what happened today. Meanwhile, well, nobody is really paying attention to this right now. And for good reason, the whole Charlie Kirk thing happened. All of a sudden, it's a whole big escalation that happens while people aren't paying attention. And then all of a sudden, you've got yourself, having NATO countries decide a response. So Article 4, we'll talk about that here in just a second and what that means, what it doesn't mean. And we will go over that in just a moment. And then Kremlin dismisses the Polish drone attack claims, saying no evidence provided. Now, remember, they're saying that they aimed these drones in there like they were attacking them. This very well could be warmongers, as Sean C. said, trying to chomp at the bit and trying to get this thing started. There is a good chunk of people that don't understand why this would happen. There's a motivation for war. War is usually about resources of some sort, but it's also about power. That's why this is really important to pay attention to, because it doesn't matter whether we believe what they say. Sometimes it's just planting a seed of something that is to come, and it's part of an operation that we will never, ever truly get the truth about. Thank you so much. Mesa Lands Yeti says, we are at war. Confuse the American populace. Well, I don't know if you mean war. The war is to confuse the American populace. That's happening. I believe we are already in World War III. It's just a silent and non-kinetic one. And it's essentially everything else that it needs to happen to be at war is happening. For somebody who's preached this for 8 years, and then because I've been preaching it for 8 years, people are, oh, you said that 8 years ago. This is a world war. Don't want to reiterate and kick a dead horse, but it takes months to years to plan a wedding. This is a world takeover. It takes decades, and that's exactly what happened. From World War I to World War II, it took decades for everything to culminate into the next world war. Now it's been a lot of decades, and it's culminating into World War III. All of the things that would need to happen for a world war to happen, they have happened. We now have sides picked. People have drawn the lines. People have drawn the line in the sand, and now everyone knows where they sit. With a couple of outliers and some countries that may even surprise and even may turn their heads to their former allies. Before we move on, I definitely want to recommend EMP Shield. You guys, if you haven't seen these or haven't understood why they're important, this is the difference between you not getting home or not getting out to bug out. This means the difference of your generator starting or not starting. This means the difference of everything plugged into your house being, not fried or is fried. This again, they have devices for pretty much everything. They also have new ones for the Starlink devices. They have one for your solar systems. They have one for almost everything you can think of. They have one for your ham radio. Most of them are plug and play as far as like ham radio generator versions for Energy and Bug Out XP. All of those, just basically you plug one end into this, one into that before it goes into that. But the house version, wired in, very easy to do if you are allowed to do it. The car version, anybody can do this. Again, you don't need a mechanic. Marfooglenews.com/EMP. Make sure to use the code MARF. Literally for the price of a few of the super expensive surge protectors you probably bought for your computer desk setup, you can get one that's going to protect your entire home and turn your home into a surge protector on crack. This grounds the signal in 500 trillionths of a second. There's nothing comparable that you can get at a Fred Meyer or a Safeway or something like that. This is on a different level. This is the same technology and same company that's being used by agencies like DHS, DOD, or now DOW, Department of War, FBI, of course, the Army, just a whole list, including you may be seeing this technology go up near you on some of your polls. So marfooglenews.com/EMP. Code MARF will get you $50 off per device, and it will help our channel at the same time. We are independent. We don't have a third party deciding stuff for us. We don't have a multi-channel network protecting us. So our only protection is what we can put together. So thank you guys, and we appreciate it. All right, and then Dex, let's talk about the NATO allies held Article 4 consultations and what that means and what it doesn't mean.
So NATO allies swiftly held talks Wednesday on the incursion by multiple Russian drones into Polish and the alliance in airspace and shooting down some of the weapons by Polish and Dutch fighter jets. The consultations at the NATO headquarters were part of a regular meeting of ambassadors from 32 member states known as the Northern Atlantic Council, but the Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk told Parliament that they came under Article 4 of the treaty that had founded NATO in 1949. The incident came 3 days after that largest aerial attack. So Article 4 can put urgent matters on the agenda. So if something happens instantly, it can be brought up instantly in the meeting, put in front of anything else. Article 4 is the shortest of NATO's treaty's 14 articles. It states that the parties will consult together whenever, in the opinion of any of them, the territorial integrity, political independence, or security of any of the parties is threatened. So it's a rather simple article and an easy one because it just means if somebody is threatened, they all agree that they can consult immediately and have a discussion on what to do. Bob Dean, an analyst at the Klingendael think tank, The Hague, said that the article is designed to promote better coordination and understanding with the alliance of external threats. It gives all allies the opportunity to urgently put certain threats or developments on the agenda of the North Atlantic Council. So it's been increasingly invoked. Poland has actually previously requested such consultations early on in the conflict with Russia. They did not automatically lead to any actions under Article 5 yet. This time, though, we're going, I guess part of the discussion is whether or not Article 5 should be invoked and if this is, just incidental or if this was an actual threat on Poland. And what will the response be from Poland, and should they respond?
And remember, Zelensky already considered or said, there should be mandatory sanctions that bankrupt the Russian war machine. So sanctions could be it, which nobody's afraid of sanctions. Nobody's worried about it. Nobody gets prepped because of sanctions. But I highly recommend that you understand that the future is very, very, very unpredictable. What is going on right now is everything is being set up for an ultimate clash. Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, and if you combine this with what Russia's saying there's no evidence that it's their drones. They're saying there's no proof that it's theirs. So they could be insinuating that it was an operation, right? And that it was done to be a setup, to look like them.
Fantastic, Freddie.
So, exactly. And as we've been saying, it takes is one of these type events to turn the tide and create the opportunity to allow the rules, to bring the public along, whatever they need to then instigate and bring up the war that they've been pushing for the last many years, but at least the last 2 to 3.
Hopeful 615. You may have missed it earlier, but what does it what does it being invoked mean exactly? Article 4 is essentially when they invoke it, they're basically setting a meeting to talk about Article 5. Article 5 is not necessarily attacking, it's a response. So it could be sanctions. It could be that they decide as NATO that they are all going to do a certain sanction against Russia. They're going to say, the $1 billion we're still paying them for this or that we're going to cut that out as well. Or we're going to stop all of the embassies, we'll kick everybody out of the embassies or something. There's going to be a response. The Article 5 could also be, we are going to decide to attack. That is unlikely at this stage, but in the next 6 months, we're looking at this is getting to the point where you have, and I'm sure of it, that China is going to hit Taiwan, North Korea and South Korea, Israel and Iran. All of these adversarial countries are connected. Russia and Ukraine, Venezuela and Guyana, they're all going to take their neighbors' resources at the same time, because they're also planning for the future when they take their neighbors' resources to then pool them together to just take the U.S. out of the picture. That's what I think is happening. Again, I could be wrong when it all happens, when it all goes down. But one thing that many of us have always had, and I see many people in our community with the same kind of, I don't know if you'd call it intuition, because you can't. It's following stuff and seeing the patterns. It's seeing patterns that a lot of folks just don't see. Some people's brain works in that way. Just like some people are naturally attuned to, true crime, and they can see what happens before it happens because they've just known and watched so many true crimes and crime things that they know, right? Well, this is almost the same thing. When you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. It's like you wake up out of the Matrix and you can't press snooze anymore. That's how I feel about it anyways. And it's nothing that, it's no claim that psychic, but it's really sad how right our guts usually are. And deductive reasoning, exactly, Sean C. And it's not connecting the dots. People have stigmatized all sorts of things in our community, connecting the dots. You think of some crazy guy going like, oh, see, the alien was here on a Thursday, and now on a Wednesday, they had 33 UFO sightings. You see what I mean? That means Obama's a lizard. See, that's what people associate connecting the dots. Connecting the dots should have solid archived proof, solid archived seeds that were planted in people's heads, operations, media covering all the same things. Like, you can see there's a lot of stuff that if you actually show somebody, if they would be willing to sit down for 5 hours and go over 8 years of news, you would be able to show them what we know, right? I've done it plenty of times with my friends. At least I've tried an hour of and going through one link after the other, from everything happening at our border to the Golden Dome, to Greenland, to the operations, to the Bagram base getting taken over. Like, this is recent stuff, to everything now. You could go through that for an hour and a half if they'll listen. But most people have an attention span. In fact, I'm guaranteeing 3 people just left right now. They were like, he said 8 words. So, if people did listen, they would know what's about to happen. And it's not listening to us. It's listening to themselves and listening to what's going on around them. Thank you, and thank you so much. Scenic Adventures. Better have Christmas early. Glad I already got the jump on it. Thanks, Marf, Dex, and Mods. Funny enough, I don't know if you watched the yesterday's show, was it? Venezuela, Maduro has declared that Christmas is going to start October 1st. Why do you think that they're starting Christmas? A highly, highly religious country is officially starting Christmas October 1st. That tells me that they are projecting that right after October, maybe in November and December, that they're not going to be able to have a regular Christmas. So they're allowing people to celebrate it early so they'll still get their gifts given. I don't know. Seems very, very odd to me. And then at the same time, the same day, you have Pete Hegseth saying the things that you're training for on, Puerto Rico, that's not a training. That's an exercise for what we're about to do. So seems to me like all of these countries, every one of them, and then Israel and Iran. Israel has been telling everybody to evacuate the Strip. Iran is still waiting on their True Promise 3. China has been mulling over putting mines in, like actual sea mines in the area around the Spratly Islands as a submarine trap. That tells me that they're about to get ready to go. And they've made 5 new bases along their coastline, all of them absolutely loaded to the brim with new ships, amphibious ships, and loaded with tanks and all sorts of stuff. This is about to go down. And all those people saying, it's all nothing burger. You said this 5 years ago. Well, 5 years ago, I actually said, hey, this is a sign that this is coming, not that it's coming tomorrow. Now, I think we are in the last year before this happens. So hopefully people heeded it, just like with CV with 2019. What happened there? That one was different. I knew right away that was going to be a big thing. I was in the first state, first victim. Whether it was something you think it is, or whether it was a replacement of this, and they just got rid of all of that. Whether it's a coordinated thing with the whole world, whatever you think it is. To the public-facing sector, it was what it was. We got locked down. It was crazy. It was very crazy. And people panic bought. People thought it was the end of the world. I don't think this is the end of the world either. I think this is the beginning of World War III. And we're going to know people, and you're going to know people, and your mom's going to know people, your sister's going to know people, your roommates are going to know people that will go to service and not come back. I think it's going to be much like Vietnam, where everybody's going to know a classmate that went. I think they're going to do the draft. I think that almost every example of a modern-day larger country that goes to war, they have enacted a draft, especially in this day and age where not too many of our young ones really want to go to war. And then Russian spy drones over Germany turn into an even greater threat. Dex, do you want to go over why?
So the danger from these spy drones over Germany is growing, exposing a serious security gap. They're being launched not only from land, but also from the sea. Yet it remains unclear who is actually responsible for tackling the threat, whether it's the Bundeswehr or the police or other authorities. But these Russian spy drones are targeting the German critical infrastructure. They've escalated from just being a surveillance flights to potentially being ship-based operations, with authorities seizing a suspected espionage vessel amid hundreds of drone incursions recorded since the start of the year. So basically, these drones are flying in. Some of them are being launched from land, obviously with people on the ground. But some of them are launching off of these ships and flying in and investigating the infrastructure. And I'm assuming they're getting intel and preparations for an attack. And just like we saw the attacks in Ukraine, they tackle the infrastructure. They want to take out as much infrastructure as possible when it comes to power, because that is the most critical when it comes to actual combat and supplying and maintaining, as well as the comfort of the civilians and making them uncomfortable in wartime so that they want to end things faster. So it makes a lot of sense that in any preparation on Russia's part, as they are pointing the finger at in this particular case, as far as investigating things, the power plants and the infrastructure would be number one, I would think.
Yeah, and to look at this, and you also have, of course, the message, and we should say supposedly all of this is going down, right? Germany now, of course, saying that this is a big threat. We need to do something about it. The danger from the Russian spy drones is getting too big. This is messaging that we don't really see, but when they have these NATO meetings, when they have these big, huge meetings of all of the countries, this is what, you've got all of these countries saying, well, they've got drones over us, and they just sent drones at us, and they've got drones of us. These are things where, obviously they can provide, they're making their case for why NATO needs to go to war. It seems like it's time and time again that Zelensky is, of course, pushing for war, and most people believe he is some sort of, marionette on puppet strings. And if you think about, how much they have pushed for this, it's quite nerve-wracking. WIS Jen says, I already know some people who went. There's at least five Fugel family members that have been members for a long time. They just left to serve. They are active duty. Two of them were reservists, I think. But again, we've known some people that have left as well. People are not getting their leave. People are active duty members in the Navy, and these are the ones we've heard about. The active duties members in the Navy and in the Marines have not been able to get leave, and they said that they have never known. This is at least two different people said that they have never known less about the next 3 months as they have in this last 3 months. So it's continued from all the way back to, I think, June. So they don't know what the heck is coming. And normally you get kind of, this is what I hear, they get kind of rumors of where they're going to be, where they're going, what's going to happen. Not, they don't get full briefings or, debriefed on what's happening with World War III, but they do somewhat know where they're going. A lot of these members have not been told anything, that they have their higher ranking officers essentially being super quiet, and they're finding that extremely strange. If you are an active duty member and you feel the same way, that you just don't know anything, let us know in the comments down below. Obviously, don't say anything that you're not supposed to say, but I think most people are allowed to say they don't know anything. And that is something that we need to know. If they're not being told anything, that should be kind of a flag that something might be going on. And then we have U.S. warns hidden radios may be embedded in solar-powered highway infrastructure. Oh my gosh. I joked about this like years ago, and it was when Lucky, I'm trying to remember his channel name, but he did a video before I gave him so much props because he did a really good video about the blue-colored the crazy colored street lamps that were going up. Now, they're saying that there may be hidden radios in the solar-powered highway infrastructure, which is so weird. I mean, we saw these, these blue lights, these weird blue lights, and almost all of them in my state are right at entrances and right at exits. It's very strange that they picked to put these there. And there's a whole theory around what they are. I think that there's actually a pretty... For the regular ones that it could very well could be, there's actually an explainable reason why they're the way they are, and I think it's something. I guarantee it's something to do with surveillance, possibly the light. The one I heard that I thought was the best example was that light can travel 4 or 5 times. Or no, it doesn't travel. The surveillance cameras using that special light can see license plates 4 or 5 times better, clearer, farther than they could with something else. So the light itself isn't anything in this one theory, but what it is the surveillance camera that's parked way up the road that it can see, and that light helps it essentially lock onto the license plate. That makes sense. That's something I think that the government would totally do and not make a big deal out of. Just like the weird-looking stoplight surveillance systems in New York that they said weren't surveillance systems for the first couple years, but then they're like, oh yeah, they totally are. But as far as this goes, Dex, hidden radios. So who hid the radios? Who makes the solar-powered highway infrastructure?
Oh, I'll give you one guess. I'm sure we all know who it is. It's China, of course. And by the way, those LPRs, license plate readers, there's some neat tricks they can do with those cameras, even without the lighting to get it. And I know because I've dealt with a security company that installs them for locations that need to capture license plates when they drive by.
Well, at our old HOA, they tried to the HOA here. wanted to put in this system and like, wanted to,
Yeah.
and they called and got a estimate, and they're like, whoa, why is it so expensive? They're like, well, if you want every single license plate going into your neighborhood, then do it. So they said,
Yeah,
nope, we're not doing it.
Yep, it's two cameras, one to see the regular picture and then one that's completely like the regular picture doesn't look good, but the license plate really stands out and you can see it the way it's done, especially at night. Daytime's not a problem. It's the nighttime reading that's a challenge. But yeah, look, they're saying these solar powered infrastructure, these chargers, the roadside weather stations, traffic cameras, they should all be scanned for the presence of these rogue devices. These are the same type of rogue devices, hidden radios that have been reported to be put into solar equipment from China as well. We reported on that a few weeks back, or maybe a couple months back now, shortly after the power outage in Spain. When we called it first and suspected that was actually sabotage from China as a warning shot over trade negotiations. They showed their power to, pun intended, to take out the power by hitting solar stations because they have backdoor access and all that, which is why when we talk about even things like solar generators, even though all solar generators, because the cells that are inside them are not made here in America yet, have to come from China. They all have to say made in China. But the most important part is the company that owns it and whether or not it's front loaded in America, because then it comes down to does it get checked for the equipment to make sure it's correct, and is the software loaded on it owned by China or owned by an American company, and that's why it's so important. And obviously, DOT's throwing these equipment out everywhere, getting a great deal on cameras or getting a great deal on traffic signs and things that are solar powered. They don't care. They put it out there and they don't realize that what's happened is they bought all this stuff and there's all these back doors, and in this case, probably cellular radios hidden inside them, giving China access to this equipment and whatever data may be flowing through it.
Yeah, and the after the day, I mean, I'll just the long story short on the Spain thing. All of Spain went out, and then they said that we guessed it. I mean, we said, well, I wonder if it's something to do with the fact that China provided 80 or 85% of their renewable energy, because they first said it was some sort of atmospheric disturbance or some stupid thing. And we were like, that doesn't make sense. And then, of course, the next day they were like, oh, actually, it was the renewable energy and there was something there. They did not directly say that there were radios hidden in the devices. Just one day later, the U.S. goes, we just looked in one of these huge converters that goes from solar renewable energy into our actual grid. And they're like, we found radios in it. These are transformers and things that are the size of a house that nobody wants to take apart and go into the very middle of it. But think about this. So then the next day they say that, and Spain doesn't declare that they found these Chinese radios in theirs. But what do you want to bet? That Spain called the U.S. and says, hey, we found radios in all of our stuff. The U.S. then looks, finds it, reports it without connecting it to the Spain thing. I mean, it makes perfect, super obvious sense, but nobody wants to, they don't report it. They're told not to.
Adam, Billy Jack's Wild America 24-month member made a comment, says, wait until you guys find out what chips are in your Baofeng UV5R radios and how many of you have those, which we all do. All of us preppers probably have a Baofeng radio in our bag. I know I have a couple of them. Those are those shortwave radios that are handheld, and they're all made in China. All of them are. And we buy them because they're super cool and powerful and look great and can do all these cool things for us, and they're inexpensive and cheap and have all the different UV bands that we want access to, and yeah.
What if that communicates?
So what if they all get shut down? What if they all just instantly get turned off?
Or they're used to communicate signals. So here's the thought I have on this these scenarios, right? So look at what they give as example, these solar chargers that are in everything now. If you drive down the street, in my state at least, I know that I can drive through many neighborhoods, including the nicer neighborhoods. Like Medina is where Mr. Yates lives. I've had to go there for doctor's appointments. And my 2 dentist appointments, I had to drive through Medina. Medina has these speed traps all over the place. They've got these freaking chargers everywhere. And in a lot of cities now in Washington, especially around Seattle, you've got these things everywhere. They're used for crossing signs, crossing signals. They're used for slow down signs. They're used for speed, speed traps and speed, the things that basically tell you how fast you're going and say slow down. And what if there's radios inside of these things, as they say, these chargers, what if this is a network that has been set up so when they go to communicate, they don't need the cellular towers. They use their own radios to communicate a signal to turn everything off. They already have their other radios implanted in solar technology, the converters that go into our main grid. You cause enough of a cascading effect that you shut down our grid. I don't know if that's possible. If you're a power expert, let me know. But it's just a thought. All right. And then, I mean, this is just crazy. And then war with Venezuela, ? Oh, man. The president's administration is weighing additional military options against Venezuela if the regime of Nicolas Maduro does not step up pressure on hotels, military sources tell me. Attacks could come if Venezuela threatens U.S. forces in the Caribbean, either by shooting down Venezuelan military aircraft or by taking out Venezuelan military airfields. This past week, Venezuelan Air Force jets buzzed Navy ships gathering north of Venezuela. Marine Corps AV-8B fighter jets are deployed aboard the amphibious group at sea. Air Force F-35 fighter jets have also moved to Puerto Rico. Now remember, that is the jets and the ships and the amphibious assault carriers that are there are the ones that Pete Hegseth just declared, hey, this isn't a training exercise. This is, you guys are getting ready to do the real thing. Like this ain't a drill. It said this past week, disabling a military airfield is considered one of the lowest risk operations that could be undertaken if the decision is made to attack Venezuela itself. Military sources say last month, as part of the Emerald Warrior 25-2 war game, Air Force commandos rehearsed just such a mission, parachuting 3 miles off the coast of St. Croix before moving to Henry O. Rolson Airport. The commandos cleared the runways, established perimeter security, and took control of the tower within minutes, the Pentagon says. It says today, War Secretary Pete Hegseth and Joint Chairman Dane Ken arrived for a surprise visit to Puerto Rico on Monday. Remember, the day before this, he says, hey, this is not a drill. It says, it's not if, it's when, Hegseth said. You're on mission. Narco-terrorists and drug traffickers are on notice. We will no longer be allowing the poisoning of the American people, and the full power of the American military, used precisely with a clear mission, will be used to ensure American people are kept safe. Now, I would love to do a poll here, and it doesn't we could do an official poll if we can, but how many of you believe that, and this is a yes or no question, do you believe that everything going on with Venezuela is about the bad stuff coming into our country? How many of you, again, think that this is about something bigger than just the war on what? I personally think that there's something way, way bigger here, and it goes into the big picture of things with Russia and Ukraine, with Iran and Israel, with China and Taiwan and Venezuela and Guyana and everything else in North Korea and South Korea. I think it has something to do with that. I think that they are positioning and they are getting ready to be spread thin, and that is why they are trying to, I almost think that they're trying to take out targets before it gets to the point where we're overwhelmed, and they're essentially trying to take out adversaries or even regimes that might be a threat before it gets to the point where we are, it's a 6-on-1 fight outside of a bar, which wouldn't be exactly fair. Dex, do you get what I'm saying here? Like, and he's been pretty clear too. This is not a training. It's not a drill. They're saying it's not if, it's when. Are they talking about just blowing up some small boats with stuff crossing over, or are they talking about something else? I think they're trying to do a regime change.
Yeah, look, the bounty on Osama's head was 25 million. The bounty on Maduro's head is 50 million. What does that tell you?
That's insane.
Okay, that's a big deal. So this is a path to taking out that president, getting and oh, by the way, what countries have we done regime changes in? All these countries that have what? Lots of oil, lots of resources. Venezuela is one of the oil richest countries in the world. They just don't know how to make use of it and make their country rich. They just make the politicians rich and the people poor, and they screw their inflation up. So I'm sure America and all the rich elites of America look at that as a golden land of opportunity where they can throw enough money around to the population and get them elevated into the middle class so they feel happy while they, suck the riches out of the ground, and everyone wins in the capitalistic terms. And that's what America has done. I mean, look at all the other countries we've done that to. So certainly makes perfect sense, because the guy running the country down there, allegedly doesn't deserve to be there, according to many people, including our country. We don't think he is the properly placed person by the people. And, there's tons of reasons to turn it out. So that's why I totally agree. It has probably very little to do with narco terror and everything to do with regime change.
And it's a perfect cover story for it too. And it is something that the American people do care about. If you've been to a Walmart parking lot, then you probably have seen the effects of what is actually coming in our country. The border getting shut down the way that it is seems a bit harsh too, even for the crazy, stuff that's coming in. It more looks like we are protecting against a potential invasion, or we set up to where if another country was thinking about doing something, maybe they're not anymore. It's like they caught things, and they're taking actions preemptively on something that we don't know about. Scott D nails it, says Venezuela possesses abundant natural resources, most notably the world's largest proven oil reserves and significant deposit of natural gas, along with substantial amounts of bauxite, gold, and iron. Yes, they've been a super rich country because of these resources, right? And these are resources, and who knows how much they have as far as resources that could be related to the other 3 or 4 that are needed for the electric revolution here, for different things that could be put into computers and AI and power and everything else. And then one more. Some bad lieutenant says Cuban Missile Crisis 2.0, South America. Great point. Dex, go ahead.
Yeah. Just put that into perspective. It's estimated, I think, back in 2023, that they have 303 billion barrels of oil in their proven oil reserves underground. And you can compare that to Saudi Arabia, is 267 billion barrels. So, yeah. They've got all, and look at how rich Saudi Arabia is, right? They've got all the riches in the world, and they're one of the poorest run countries right now. And if China and Russia, continue to court them and win them over, then those riches go to China and Russia.
What's sad is if Maduro does get taken out, and he's had many attempts. They've tried to take him out before. We covered this quite a few years ago, where a smaller drone was flown right at Maduro. He jumped back. One of his security guards actually got injured because it blew up, and he actually jumped in front of him. So they've been trying to take him out for years. That whole thing that Dex just talked about, a woman actually who supposedly won. They thought she was such a big threat. She went into hiding. The first time she went in public speak, she's like, "I'm tired of hiding." She said, "Like, I'm tired of hiding. I'm coming out." When she got off the pedestal, she was arrested. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. The truth is stranger than fiction, 99% of the time.
And one more stat, just so you guys can understand the plight in Venezuela. They used to produce 3 million barrels a day in 2013. Now they're down to barely producing 900,000 barrels a day. And that's because of mismanagement and aging infrastructure. Yet they have all this oil and money that all they have to do is spend it on it. And that's why I usually say, look at the big bankers of America will say, we'd love to invest there. it's just not a safe country. So if we can invest there, we can make billions, and that's what they're going to do. That's why it's clearly not narco-terror, in my opinion.
Out of 165 votes, which, I mean, Family Feud uses 100, says, do you believe the conflict with Venezuela is about narco-terror? Yes is 30%. No, something bigger. So no is thinking 70% think it's something bigger than that. It's about resources or about something else. So yeah, in 5 minutes, almost 170 people, 70% say no, it is not about the narco-terror. It is about something bigger. Makes a lot of sense. And then, of course, feel free to jump in on the comments if you're watching the show afterwards. Please pop in and let us know what you think. Before we move on, make sure to go check out Energy, especially this isn't something that is going to last long because this is a solar generator that we affiliated with for years until they basically indefinitely paused all sales. You couldn't go buy it. You would go look at it and there would be no buy button. That is because they got the U.S. SBIR Phase 1 and Phase 2 contract for the U.S. military. They were a smaller company when they first got this. And the reason why is they build their stuff so good. They build it so tough. This is reinforced with steel. It is modular. It can either be, taken with one battery or with these incredibly strong latches that are super easy. Just click, click, and you've taken one with one battery. You can click up to 40 plus batteries. It is a built-in heater for cold temperatures. Again, it has a built-in fan, of course, for warmer temperatures, which most have. But that built-in cold, that heater for cold is incredible. So depending on what the situation is, it is an incredible generator. This thing's made to fall off of something, fall off the back of a truck and still go. It is made like things used to be made. Again, the only problem is that there are only small batches of these that are open to the public, and once they're gone, they're gone. Again, this is something where after this batch is done, we don't know when there will be any more. Once you get that head unit and once you get your initial battery, I don't know what the availability is with the batteries, but I believe they're easier to get than, say, the head unit. That head unit is front-loaded in the U.S., meaning it will not be hacked by China. It's not going to have a backdoor radio in it. This also hooks up to solar power, so you can get unlimited power, charge it up when your power goes out for a storm or a tornado or an earthquake. You've got yourself your power. Again, talk about jump in a doorway for an earthquake or under a table. I would lay down next to this thing. That's how tough it is. I wouldn't take that as actual advice, but that thing is so tough. I believe a freaking roof thing would fall on it, and it would probably stop it from crushing you. But yeah, and then again, this thing is not only EMP shield protectable, but you can also, again, add different mods to extend it, or again, you can charge this from your wall. So go over and check it out, marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY. Make sure to use the code Marfoogle. Thank you guys for going over and supporting us and getting a big discount at the same time. Red Planet bombshell. NASA reveals clearest ever signs of life on Mars in major discovery as rover finds evidence of ancient alien microbes. I get so almost tired of hearing these crazy UFO stuff. Like Dexter, like you said earlier, it's like a slow drip of information to just keep us like, oh, UFOs. What do you think about this?
Well, never a straight answer is giving us a definitive answer, in this case, saying it is the most exciting evidence ever of life on Mars. They're saying it's 3 billion years old. It's some, spots. They're calling it poppy seed and leopard spots is the nickname they're giving to these little marks. But these are marks of some sort of minerals that are come about when in the sediment after certain types of bacteria or other living elements die or decompose. So it's not like they're saying, "Hey, we found a species or some sort of thing." They're finding evidence that that there was some sort of microbes that broke down in the organic material that actually are the same signs of life that we would see here on Earth. So. And it's a chemical reaction that they're talking about. So Yeah, in the headline, it sounds good. In the weeds, it sounds kind of geeky and almost non-exciting. But they didn't find Martians, but they did find potential microbes.
Which is potentially the root of life, right? At least that's what some say.
And they did say they collected the rock with the stuff on it. It's in the rover or whichever, I don't remember which one. Which I think, yeah, rover Discovery. And it will be coming back at some point whenever its mission is over. It's taking all of its rock samples and flying home, supposedly.
Thank you. By the way, Andrew LaPenze, great comment, says they're not after oil, they're after minerals for AI. And then to follow that up, Scenic Adventure says, what if AI chat apps are the new version of Ouija? The Ouija boards. I have thought there's some pretty creepy videos I've seen, but that's just my 19-year-old. I'll hear her like TikTok videos she's watching, and somebody said that AI chat app started like talking demonic, but you never know how many. Most of those are faked by people that are just trying to get views. But I've had some pretty weird stuff. Grok, the C theory one, the version, because there's different versions you can scroll through Sideswipe. It said some pretty freaking weird stuff. Some bad lieutenant says hospital equipment in America has been caught broadcasting back to China University. Vials and boxes. Dex, I thought we covered that, didn't we? Wasn't that a few months ago or something?
Yeah, sounds like it. We've covered that. We've covered the video camera systems that all call back. You can go to the store and buy them now. They still call back to China.
Proprietary equipment in the cranes that communicate with China. DJI communicating possibly with China. All these different things. Which in the drone world, in like consumer drones, like buying a DJI this, that, I have not been caught up. I haven't flown my drone since I remember I actually told you guys the day my DJI I found out got bricked. I have the Mavic 2 Pro, which is, I don't know how many models behind, but it was like a $1,500 drone at the time. And then all of a sudden I went to go use it and it's like, oh, it's bricked. You can't use it. The app was gone too. The app was off the Google Play Store. The older app that you had to use with that version was just bricked. I had to literally download it from a Chinese website and like partition my phone to do it safely. It was just such a pain in the butt. But I guess there's even more bans coming, and this is all the setup for, they're going to say, this is the enemy, this is the enemy, this is the enemy, and they're setting up right now for a war with all of these countries. Seems pretty simple to me, but and then the subject in custody has been released. Now, we just did a short video over on Marfoogle News about everything with the Kirk situation. It's a horrible, horrible thing. I mean, it's a bad day. I do want to say, for anybody that was negative about Kirk today, if you're no longer here with us, we have some simple rules. Don't talk trash about other creators. Don't talk trash about other people in chat. Don't talk trash about anybody. There's nothing personal against you. If you did, you most likely got muted or put out. But come back tomorrow. We most likely will not be talking about it. We might do a slight update, but if a subject makes you mad or makes you to the point where you have to say bad things about somebody who just got taken out, I'm not going to judge you for it. There's a lot of people that their views have, such strength in them that, if that's what you believe, that's fine. But I personally have rules in my channel that, you don't talk trash about other people, and especially right after they perish. It's just something I won't have. But tomorrow, come on back. I was surprised to see a small percentage of folks just cheering it on. And I think even if you hated somebody absolutely to the brim, I've never understood wishing death upon anyone. But yeah, everybody's to themselves. The second suspect was released. It's crazy. The first guy was seemingly a distraction. I think that he was some sort of temporary patsy so the guy could get off the roof. Again, there's videos circulating all over the place of a gentleman running on a roof afterwards. They say that he was 200 yards or something like that in the other direction, right across the way from in the Lucy Center. So that the shot was apparently from the front. But as some of the chatters were talking about earlier, that this reminds them sort of JFK, right? Because is there a second one, right? It looked like the front was the exit wound, but they're saying that the front was the entrance wound, which could make sense if it got the carotid artery. Then that would make sense what happened. I mean, it was gushing. It was horrid. But I do want to point out there are some videos going around, and they very well could be edited and altered, and they most likely are. But Dex, did you see the one where the ring changes finger? Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. It's not a ring. I didn't take it that way when I looked at it. What I saw was the band that comes up off of the cable tie on the microphone. It was in his hand that was flipped up on his finger, and he sets it down, he picks it up, and it's flipped up on his other finger. That's what I took from it.
So it's like a rubber band trick where he was holding on to. So are you saying that's so he doesn't drop the thing, or so he can?
It may just been on the mic cable, or it may have been on the mic itself on the XLR.
It looked like a gold ring.
Yeah, it did in that shot, and it also looked like it moved on his finger down, or onto the other finger, but it kind of did, but kind of didn't. But I think really what it was is probably off of the microphone cable, and it was just sticking up between his fingers. Well, that's my take.
Some people thought it was AI, but there were so many people there, and I know throughout the years people have said, well, they could have a bunch of everybody could be in on it or something. There were Fugel family members at that thing that when this happened. There were 2,000, some crazy number of people there. So I don't know. I don't think that could be. I don't think it was faked. But one thing is that video of the thing transferring fingers that could be fake. So
yeah, but I mean, does that matter? I think there's
people are worried if it was AI.
Yeah, but there's plenty of video from multiple angles of everything happening, and they're all in sync. So
yes, but we don't know what AI on the government side is capable of.
There were thousands of people that were present there that can attest to the event that went down. So I think that's like the least of the concerns, in my opinion, to worry about. Like, did somebody AI the actual video of him getting hit, and then that's all we see?
Well, no, because that's the thing that can start a civil conflict. You have everybody on the right saying this is the time to stand up and do something. We've always been quiet. We're hard to get, loud. Now everybody is. This is exactly the plot of Mountainhead that I was talking about, where they released these tools out into the world where the AI video generation was so good that countries were using it to make other countries look like they were attacking them, or that they were taking out villages of innocent people. I get that,
but you have 3,000 witnesses.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, arguing the AI point on a video is less important in this scenario than some of the other things. There's lots of questions about the guy flipping the hat, tipping the hat, the other guy making hand signals behind him right before the shot goes off. Which I look at and say, well, the guy's. He's a security guard. He's been a security guard for a long time. He's got he's a buff guy, and his shirt is tight. He technically is pulling down the sleeve on his shirt right before and then touches his arm. But some people say, oh, he's making a hand gesture like he's calling the plays at third base coach, and that happens right before the thing goes off. And then the other guy who tips his hat, some people who wear hats touch their hats all the time. But there's lots of things that can be looked at here. I think really the question I keep coming back to is, where did it come from?
Yeah.
Is it from the front or from the behind? From behind, really behind at an angle, like a 45-degree angle off of his side, rear to front. And then the only way we're going to know that is if they tell us, is there an entry and an exit? And they're going to have to tell us
where was the bullet found, right?
Yeah. Where was the bullet after the fact? Because if it went in and didn't come out, which is rare, that's rare for high velocity neck shot. Okay. It does happen. It can go in and stay in, but it's typically coming out in that area because there's not a lot of, body to absorb and retain that high velocity bullet.
One thing though, if it went and that looked like a professional shot, one thing that was so freaky about it is it had to have taken out either the muscle, or what if it went through his actual neck, the bone, right? Because his neck just went like this. I mean, it just went. If you get shot through that area, if it didn't hit something like that, or if it didn't hit the muscle that holds your actual head up, a lot of people that have said that they've been shot there, they didn't even know they were for a second, and their head is normal, they're up, and then all of a sudden it's just whoosh, and then they're gone. But they fall after a couple seconds after everything drains out. His was instantaneous. He was boom, like his like there was nothing holding his head up anymore. So that's again makes me think it came from the back to the front, because it instantly just went whoop, like it took out his spine.
And from the back, it would have to be the back left angle.
Yep.
Because behind him was a drop down tarp. Nobody was going to take a shot through a tarp that they can't see him. So it would have to be from the rear corners.
His
side,
right,
from where his right rear corner.
Yeah.
Going towards his front left.
Coming down through the back and out through here, right? Yeah, I don't know if that's reversed, but through here, out here. If it goes through the spine, that would mean that the guy was behind, not on the Lucy Center, but up at the other corner. And if you see the video of the guy laying down, there's a very similar video, a very similar setup where there's two box corners. All of the buildings are set up like that around the UVU campus, where they're set up in these I don't know multiple rectangle corners that all are parallel.
Yeah.
They're saying it came from the front, which where was this? Where there was a thing behind him? Where was the splatter?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I believe, at least my mind wanted to visually see when I saw that horrific thing, that what we saw coming out of his neck and down the front of his shoulder was the exit. Because typically in a high power, long range rifle like that, the entry is smaller, the exit is larger.
Yeah.
And that would have made total sense that the exit would have come out, of course, ripping open the artery in a big way, which is why we saw so much blood there. But yeah, to me, it looked like something would have come from behind, but we don't know. Nobody said there was an entry, and everybody that's reporting now, at least from the university, is saying it was from the front, from 200 meters away on that roof. And it doesn't make sense, because like the exit would have been out through the back of his neck, and it would have been a big mess behind him.
Now, Gunpowder Production says Jet leaves right after the Kirk event. N888 KG ADBS Dark. I have not heard about that yet. I'll have to look into that. And then Blue Boy 1968 Chabby says, "Hi, Adam and Dex. Very sad to hear about the passing of Charlie. It seems that the right to have your own opinion about something has just perished in America. Today, rest in peace, Charlie. Prayers for those affected." Yeah, they were young. I don't know how old was Charlie? Wasn't he like 25 or 26 or something? Very smart young man. Whether you hated his views, he was a smart guy. He could quit back. To the people that heard what he said and were on the other side, that just absolutely hated him hated his guts. Would you really say that you wish that upon anyone, especially somebody with a family? Imagine your family, or if you lost your father that way, or if you lost your son that way. I wouldn't wish it upon anybody. And thank you, Blue Boy 1968, Chappie, Gunpowder Productions, Scenic Adventures. Thank you. Appreciate that. Make sure to go check out Jace. If you don't have a kit with all of the most commonly prescribed antibiotics, this is a very easy service that you can get them. MarfoogleNews.com/Jace. Make sure to use the code MARF, because you will end up getting not only a discount, but you will also be helping our channel out at the same time. Go check out their add-on list, because you can add on things like albuterol and other things. It just depends. Again, there is also a service called Jace Daily, which you can actually get up to a year's supply of your regular meds in case something goes wrong. Say the grid goes down for a year. You will be set, and you will actually be able to rotate your normal prescription into the year they send you and always have a year. As long as the supply chain is running and everything is good, you'll be able to continue that year of extra meds until something happens. All right, and then marfugglenews.com/Jace, and make sure to use the code MARF. Thank you, everybody that showed up to tonight's show. Again, AK forever in my heart, prayers for our country. Be still and know Jesus. Hey, thank you so much, AK forever in my heart. Trilicit says, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. He is now with our Lord and Savior. Jesus is coming, folks, fast. Get right if you're not. John 14:6. God bless you, Trilicit. Today was just horrendous. I mean, it was just such a bad day. Mesa Lands Yeti, thank you. Wally, thank you. Heath Spear, thank you from Australia. Thank you, everyone that came into the chat. Make sure to thank your awesome, awesome mods. Ilea, of course, the wonderful Bobby Sue. Make sure to go check out all of them over on marfugglenews.com/friends. Thank you to everybody that supported. I will ask, not only we're going to do a moment of silence here at the end for Charlie Kirk. Let's see here. Let's pull up the friends here. I did want to ask you guys for prayers as well. My daughter had her tonsils out at 19, had complications, and her adenoids. I think that's how you say it. It's a thing that goes in, it's inside your nose. And there was a third thing that they removed all at the same time. She was having horrible time breathing. She had sleep apnea to the point it was just bad. But she got it out, and she's had complications. So I would appreciate your prayers for our family as well. I'd much appreciate it. I'm hoping that she's had to go back twice now. They just had to go back in and cauterize it too, because it wasn't closing up. The older you are when you get that, the worse they say it is. But for some reason, she's had complication after complication. So I'm hoping that she is going to be good. If you could pray for her, I would really appreciate it. I thank everybody that has joined us tonight, and prayers for Charlie and his family. That the family is really, I mean, the kids. Why would you wish two kids to grow up without a father? That's something, again, many of us didn't have, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. All right, you guys, have a wonderful night. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. Thank you, Dex, so much for your service. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
All right, you guys, have a wonderful night. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It is a shoutro. Never should